We're going to start our meeting today with the Pledge of Allegiance like we always do. So if you'll join me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the other thing that we're going to do kind of out of sequence here is give out the certificates of appreciation for the employees who have served over 25 years at this time. So trying to do this right, what I'll do is I'll read a name and I'll lay it down and that person come up and pick it up from here if they would. Amy Mater, 27 years. Can you like that? You realize that makes your mom about 10 years old when you were born? Todd Cook is out here today. He was full of it. Okay, cool. Randy Dellinger, 32 years. Judge Rensler, 24 years. Thank you, sir. Mike Bucket. Thanks, Mike. Thank you. Good job, man. Jody's not here, is she? Okay, and is Todd coming or? Well, hey, Mark. Can I just give it to you? I'll just let him there and thank you very much. All right, how about a nice hand for Paul? Now we sort of have to ask them to leave. I appreciate it, but I'm sorry, we can't overload the room here, all right? And I know it broke your heart to have to go, so. That's fun. I really like that. Appreciate the folks that put that program in order for us. That's great. Okay, Matt Shipman, what do you got for us today?
Other than the contracts, which you guys are gonna go over later, I don't have anything else to report. I've reviewed all those and they're all appropriate. So.
Okay, cool. All right. Marissa Lockhart. Yeah, come on up, Marissa. We'd ask you to kind of stay that into the area, and then maybe the microphone can pick you up, so.
Yeah, so I have a presentation that I sent Jana. Are you able to? Oh. We got a plug. Yeah, I was going to say up there. All right, so this is Dana Burkus with me as well. So she's going to start on the presentation. This is in regards to a right-of-way permit application that we submitted back in October.
Sure.
So we submitted this in October, and I believe you guys tabled it or outright rejected it. We had some road crossings in there. So we just wanted to discuss, kind of present to you our perspective on why we made the application this way, give you kind of our insight from a safety and environmental perspective. So Dana, do you want to go ahead and start?
Sure. Good morning. Thank you so much for thank you so much for inviting us to participate in the commissioners meeting. We are here to share a little bit about a significant investment in Whitley and Allen County and the gas infrastructure system. Give you guys a background on how the project is gonna route, what the process we'd like to go through, and quite frankly, get your blessing on the project. I'm Dana Burkus. I live in Fort Wayne. I have the 11 counties in Northeast Indiana as public affairs manager, and Marissa Lockhart is going to be the project manager for the project, which will start in 2021, but it'll be a significant project in the coming years. Additional folks, Megan Henning, the communications lead, she's out of Northwest Indiana, and Joe Abernathy is the construction manager. you, Marissa.
Sorry. If you go to the next slide, you'll see, we tried to keep it short. We only have 8 slides and 2 of them are just pictures. So I'm not trying to take a lot of your time here. So like Dana said, my name is Marissa Lockhart. I'm with our gas major projects group. So what we do, any large infrastructure project is handled by my group. So we cover our entire territory. I'm from Northwest Indiana, Valparaiso. So this project is the Sheriff Busco High Pressure System Improvement Project. We will be installing 7 miles of pipeline. So we're also going to be installing 2 stations at the north and south end. So this is part of Whitley County and Allen County as well. So our Whitley County, you can see, is on the western border, and our Allen County delineation. We do currently have an existing station down just north of US 30 right there. We'll be doing some upgrades, but our big station installation will be up at the northern section. So this project, it is a significant investment, like Dana was saying. Our total budget is around $30 million to install. So just some details for you. You can go to the next slide. Our current schedule is to start construction in April. So we're working towards that right now. We're on schedule. We have not selected a contractor yet. We have that out for bid right now. So we have, I think, 7 or 8 contractors bidding on that. We're hoping to complete by October before our cold season. And so depending on the contractor selection, what we plan for our restoration is early summer. So we'll start April and begin that restoration as soon as possible with our contractor. You can go to the next one.
And Marissa, in order to be a contractor for NIPSCO, you have to be part of a safety approval process and have the highest level of safety.
Yeah.
Yeah, safety is, sorry, I didn't cover that, but yeah, we're part of a very rigorous group that basically rates and grades contractors based on safety, and they have a rating from A through F, and I won't even consider a contractor that doesn't have an A. So all right, so I'm going to talk about our restoration process a little. I know that you guys were concerned specifically about our restoration for any roads. So typically, are you able to see who's on the webinar? Because I think we do have some stakeholders on the webinar too, that from our environmental group. I have our engineering group that are like live. Can you see that? It would be Patrick McKee, probably Jay Spencer, Pete Barker.
This is my first time using the meeting, so I'm actually not sure.
Okay, well, if they have any comments, they can probably just send them over to me.
Okay.
But I'm gonna do my best to cover their section, so we didn't want to bring a bunch of people here. So restoration falls in our construction category, but also our environmental. So I'm gonna take you guys through just our typical process. Before we start any work, we survey the existing conditions and make sure we have pictures, accurate survey. After that, so part of the construction process is to put down matting, our big construction matting. It's like big timbers. And before doing restoration, obviously we remove all of that, any construction waste, any excess material. So we'll grade and fill our disturbed areas. So like I was saying earlier, restoration will be performed in phases as construction progresses. So we don't plan to do the whole project and then come back and restore in September. We plan to have crews working simultaneously. So there will be crews working just on the pipeline. There will be crews working just on the stations. There will likely be a crew dedicated to crossing or any road crossings. So we'll have multiple crews. And then once we get a little head start, we'll begin our restoration immediately after. Part of our environmental plan, so this is our environmental compliance plan and also our SWIP, is that any disturbance has to be restored within 14 days. So we are not allowed to exceed that 14-day limit. So we will do our best to leave it in as found or better condition. So this includes any agricultural Drain ditches, I know there's a lot of drain tiles out there, irrigation systems, existing access roads, etc. So seeding and stabilization, in order for us to close any environmental permit, we need to achieve 70% vegetative cover. So for us, that's a huge compliance. We want to maintain any compliance, so we want to get those permits closed as soon as possible. So it's in our best benefit to restore right away. And then any final inspection, so that would be with you guys. I know Allen County also will require an inspection once we close any permits.
We share this level of detail with our confidence in that we have safeguards in place. We know your roads and your property is your responsibility, and we expect you to know that they are ours.
So if you go to the next slide, these are just some pictures. I don't know how familiar you guys are with big pipeline projects, but I don't want you to be surprised or anything by our disturbance. So currently, we already have acquired the necessary permanent and temporary easements with our land department from all the landowners along this route. We are currently working on our environmental permitting. So we have our SWIPs approved from both counties, and now we're just working on our road permitting. But this is what it'll look like. I tried to find some neutral pictures that didn't, weigh heavily towards any contractor. But what we'll do is the majority of the design is open cut. So we will excavate and lay the pipeline in there, weld it together and cover it back up. The next picture shows our matting. So this is likely what we'll be covering our access ways. This is how our contractor crews will access the construction sites. If you want to go to the next slide. This is to mitigate any serious, restoration efforts with our heavy equipment. It makes it a lot easier when we go to restore when we use this matting. All right, so for our last slide, I have some pros and cons for you just for our open cut versus floor. So the main reason that we selected the open cut design really was based on safety. So when
Based on what?
safety,
Safety?
yes.
Okay.
So from a safety perspective, the integrity of our pipeline is not impacted when we are open cutting, especially underneath roads. So what happens when you're boring a pipe? There's a lot of damage that can occur to that pipe when so basically you set it depending on the bore design, but you're either pulling it or pushing it through underneath under the road or soil or whatever conditions are underneath that road. So that a lot of times can cause damage to the exterior of the pipe, which then leads to corrosion much quicker, significantly quicker than if you open it and cover it back up. Additionally, we would not need any additional easement. So we already have the easement. Usually if you're going to do a bore, you need a lot more room on either side of the road to do that. So, which that's not really an end all be all or anything. It's just, I'm just telling you to be transparent with our timeline. We would have to go back with our land department, our legal department and acquire those agreements. Also, we eliminate the possibility of cross boring. So what we do for our excavation, we'll be using a hydrovac. So it's the safest way to excavate, really. And really, I don't know financially if maybe you guys thought financially it was a motivation, but it's really a wash for us. So we have additional restoration that we have to do. We have additional traffic control we have to do. It's not really, the cost is almost the same for us to open cut versus bore. The cons are, like I said, we have more restoration, we have more traffic control, especially in high traffic volume areas. So I talked with Brandon a little bit a few weeks ago, and he said that was one of your larger concerns was our traffic. So I just wanted to talk about some additional efforts. I know that we talked about with Brandon potentially. So I don't know if you guys have a specific some of these roads I don't think are high traffic roads in our application. So we have 6 crossings that we're proposing to open cut. I believe there's maybe one of them that is the main one that you guys are concerned about.
Yeah, we'll cut to the chase. Yeah. Lincoln Way.
Lincoln Way,
Okay.
okay. So what we were proposing,
And can I ask a question?
yes,
So I'm so old, I remember when NIPSCO brought gas to Cherubusco, 1966. Okay,
okay,
now I know there's arguments here about which way north, US 33 runs. So for the sake of this particular thing, we're gonna say it runs north and south.
okay.
The gas line is on the east side.
Correct.
How are you gonna go from Hildebrand to across US 33?
Do you mean in the Allen County where we're tying in to Fort Wayne?
You're in that, yeah, you're in the Allen County section,
Yes.
and you need to get across 33 to connect to the line that runs to Cherubusco.
So we're boring underneath that road. However, the difference between that bore and these proposed bores is the size of pipe. So that pipe is half the size. That's an 8-inch pipe. It's actually 8-inch to 6-inch. So there's significantly less risk with a pipe.
You're gonna run 16-inch for about 7 miles,
Yes,
and then you're gonna downsize it to 8 to cross the road.
it's already that size. The system that we're tying into is 6-inch.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, when I said cut the chase, we just don't really want Lincoln Way opened up. The other county roads are not a problem. You're gonna be bored, right? There's gonna be wetlands you're gonna bore under.
Yes, there are wetlands.
Yeah, so you can't say, well, we're not gonna bore a 16-inch pipe, because you are somewhere. So that, I guess that's all we wanted was, we would just feel better if you just bored under Lincoln Way instead of, it's an awfully busy highway. It may not seem like it, but it is. And so that's where we're at. That's kind of the crux of our,
So would you be open to, is the main reason that you don't want us to bore related to the traffic volume?
traffic and the integrity of the roadway there.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know this might be apples and oranges, but if you want to, when you leave here, if you want to drive to Cherubusco, you're going to cross 10 places on the 10 places on State Road 205 where NDOT did an open cuts this summer to put a tile underneath there. Now, that's not a pleasant experience to hit all those 10 places. So, and obviously they're going to have to come back and fix it again. So I don't suspect that the first time you do the cut through Lincoln Way, that it's going to be a real smooth transition. And you're going to have to come back and probably fix it up again at some point.
Yeah, we typically will, like in our restoration, in our permits, we typically don't stop until we get approval from you. You are the permit issuer, so we would continue efforts to make sure that it was to your specification or your liking. And until then, we would not stop monitoring it, and our permit would remain open.
Yeah.
Okay. So we did discuss the possibility of getting an engineered traffic control plan. That way we would only close one lane at a time. So we would have extensive traffic control specialists there that would assist with the traffic. So would you guys be open to that possibility?
I really want to yield to Brandon at this point. Brandon, are you back there somewhere? I just would appreciate your input here.
Well, like you said, Don, a one-time restoration is probably good if you, work or do and whatever material you use. one lane closed traffic, obviously 50 better than a foot closure. There is plenty of right of way on Lincoln Way, or that road. So we're gonna be about, right of way. Pros and cons. You're looking at about 3,000 vehicles a day. Varies depending on, call it rush hour, so.
Yeah, I mean, we just did a traffic plan similar, we had to close down Route 30. So it's something that we're used to having to do to accommodate counties for.
You know, one concern I have, the county just got burned 2 years ago on another pipeline project. And I have no doubt what you said, you totally mean, but you're gonna turn this project over to a contractor. And that's exactly what happened 2 years ago with this county. It got turned over to a contractor and the contractor didn't uphold his promises, the promises that were made to us as commissioners and to the county highway department. And that's the integrity of the contractor that's at stake. Now, what are you gonna do to back the contractor up if he doesn't do what you say he's gonna do? Now, it happened to, don't say it won't happen because it just did 2 years ago here.
So I guess, can you be a little bit more specific? So our contractor promised restoration in a certain condition and it didn't happen, is that what you mean?
Well, the damage to the roads and stuff didn't happen like they said it was going to. And the farmers and private tile out through the field and all those kind of things, and the county tiles. That's a concern to me. I know your project needs to go, or you wouldn't be spending $30 million. But I just I hate to get another spanking like we did 2 years ago here.
Yeah, I understand. So what we do in the gas major projects group, our contracts are set up. So I'm not sure what project you're referencing, if it was an engineering project, but I'm guessing it was not, was it a major project?
Yeah,
Well, it was pretty darn major.
It was a sewer project, though.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a $10 million project.
Okay.
But he wasn't.
Okay.
But it's the same thing, the
Yeah.
cut acrosses and,
And now the contractor's gone and we're stuck.
So we would never defer, we would never put any liability on the contractor. So our ultimate agreement, your agreement is with NIPSCO. Your agreement will never be with our contractor, no matter what. So even if this contractor, which they couldn't do contractually, it's in the RFP that I specifically gave them your requirements. So Brandon sent them to me a couple of months ago, and they're specific in the contract. When they're awarded the contract, that's what they're held to. And I don't know what utility this was, but our legal team is pretty experienced. They have to abide by their contract. We keep a retainer of all their payments. We simply we don't pay them if they don't complete the work. If it's not to your satisfaction, any restoration, and it's a significant project, that their retainer at the end, it's gonna be a bigger chunk of money than any restoration on Lincoln Way,
you guys have like inspectors on site.
We do. So we have environmental inspectors. We also have inspectors for our pipeline integrity. So like welding inspectors, coating inspectors. And we also have quality inspectors that are making sure that these people are following our standards. So that's internal NIPSCO people as well as contractors. I know that there was a question about inspection and resources. I did offer Brandon, if you guys wanted a third party that we could help you with whatever resources you guys might need as far as oversight, which I know that's kind of maybe a conflict for you guys, but if there's anything additional we could do to provide resources or updates. I know in Allen County, Jessica asked to be added to our weekly calls. So we're adding her to our weekly calls. We're gonna send her photos, updates, things like that, so.
But I think having said what I did, though, our biggest concern is with Lincoln Way. You know, and I have a hard time. You made the statement earlier that boring and open cutting is not a lot of difference, and I understand you'd rather open cut with the 16-inch pipe, but I also understand that it probably can be bored. And I just hope we can come to some agreement
Yeah, I agree.
to everybody that we can do this some way.
Yeah, we will do it some way, I agree. So what I meant by they're saying is I meant they're similar from a cost perspective. They're not similar from a safety perspective, and that's really what we're coming with a pipe size of that diameter. The safest way to install that pipe is to open cut it.
Marissa, can you, I know we talked about it on the call, the difference between boring in a wetland versus boring underneath the road is the soil quality that's known underneath the wetland versus
So,
underneath the road.
Yeah, that's true. There's been significant investigation for our wetland bores of the soil pipe or of the soil condition. And there, we know 100%, 99%, I will say 95% certainty. The condition of that soil is going to be very easy for us to bore. We're not going to run into any rock. There's no, it is wet is basically what we know.
Yeah, it's muck area.
Right. So there is a difference there. We are doing boring. And then additionally, from an environmental perspective, it's just, I don't think we would ever even get approval to open cut because of the survey. It's just, it would be a lot worse for us.
I guess my question is, I think the big concern for me is, if you do an open cut, at that point, there is settling. We know that there's going to be settling. How long of a time frame do you make sure that that's taken care of? Is it, you know?
So we can go, I mean, whatever you're comfortable with. So what we do typically for projects that are done, you know, so 2021 budget year is when we will complete the construction. What we'll do for projects like this, big projects with a lot of restoration uncertainties, we will set up basically an escrow account. So we'll say, how many times do we think we're gonna have to come back to this? So we'll set up an escrow account, and that escrow account is good for however many years we pay. So if you guys want us to monitor it for 5 years, we can set up an escrow account to monitor and have money available allocated to any restoration on that specific crossing, if that would make you more comfortable.
Mhm. Okay, now can you give us an estimate? If we allow that open cut across Lincoln Way, how long will that be closed?
Less than a week. I would say a week would be a fair estimate. If we run into issues, it could be longer. But the board, what we do our best to minimize the impact because it costs us money too. If we're having to manage that traffic longer, we don't want to do that. So we do everything we can ahead of the open cut to prepare for that closure, to make that the shortest window as possible.
You know, that road was built, you know, that was a US 30 at one time. And who knows what's underneath it? You know, I'm sure the contractors probably knows more than you or we do by far.
Yeah.
Or, you know, they're used to that kind of thing. Do they foresee any issues digging through a federal highway that's 100 years old?
So I'm not sure if the contractor does, so we haven't selected a contractor yet. There all are some mitigation efforts we could do. I mean, we could put, so typically for classic or small diameter piping, we would bore under a road. So this is like a classic, something that's really small. We could video camera under the road. We could do a small bore with a 2 4-inch pipe under the road to see that, investigate, but, you know, we're at the elevation that we're gonna be going.
Yeah, no, I've seen, well, I've had some experience doing it out west of town on the same road, Lincoln Way. You know, and some of it, one time was open cut, one time they bored it. And, you know, the open cut was only, it was for drainage tile, but it was only, you know, one day. And they had it back, it was just a part of a day, really.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
don't,
our actual construction should take 2 to 3 days, but I shouldn't promise that to you.
what depth of these tile is this 16-inch pipe gonna be laid?
So most of it is between 4.5 and 5 feet,
How much?
between.
The permit request asks 5 feet below the grade,
5 feet.
5 feet below the grade at the road center line.
But I've had some, with drainage tile, you know, it's just been hours and the road had been back, you know, back open.
Right, but my 1 week is telling you the worst case,
Mhm.
because that's what I should promise you as my customer. I shouldn't tell you our best case. You know, if I want to commit to something, I'm not gonna, they should finish it very quickly.
Well, thank you so much for your presentation. We've never had anybody do that before for right away permit, so
Oh, you're welcome. And then,
it is nice to do that for sure. Gentlemen, do you have any flavor right this time?
I guess I'd make a motion that we approve the right-of-way permit, but maintaining traffic flow and provide a letter of maintenance for 3 to 5 years.
What about?
Brandon, how long is a reasonable amount of time that they would need to keep that open to make sure that the road isn't going to continue to have issues? 3 years, 5 years, 2 years?
For a maintenance bond, for example, for a newly constructed road, we do 3 years.
we can do that.
What did he say? I didn't hear him.
3 years.
3 years maintenance bond. And I guess, I have another question, just to state.
I guess we got a motion on the floor and for discussion purpose, I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to permit the cut across on Lincoln Way with a 3-year maintenance permit.
And maintaining traffic flow also.
Oh, I know, my question was, what about a hold harmless agreement? Did you see that anywhere in this? In case something happened at the corner or site?
Yeah, I mean, ask for sure something. In other words, you know, there's a traffic accident because the traffic flow pattern is that we have to a certain extent of immunity, but the contractor lets people go through and they crash into each other. We certainly don't want to get sued as part of that. You guys do those in mind?
I'm not sure if we do, but I can ask for legal.
Okay.
I'll make a note of it. And then just for clarification, is this for all of the crossings? Okay, including
Yes.
And I think something needs to be put in there. What is in there? I didn't get it all read about private tiles and crossings.
So,
What, I know with county tiles, you have to have permits. What about private tiles?
so I don't believe there's anything in our specific application about private tiles, but what we do in our contract, and what we promise all the landowners is that any tile that we disturb, we will repair or replace. So that's in our contract. right now.
For how long? For what period of time? Some of them don't show up for, you know, months down the road. How long Are you making those promises good?
I guess we don't specify, it's not specific, but since we're open cutting, we should know pretty immediately. The 90% of our.
Right,
content
but to some of that areas, you're gonna be boring and, you don't know what you hit there.
Yeah, just the wetland.
Don't they have easements for the landowners who tile likely, right?
Yes.
Already telling you that.
Yeah.
Yes, we've gotten as much maps as we could.
But the only thing
Right, but they have, a lot of the landowners have, I mean, they don't have a GPS survey, but they know where their tile are.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. We have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign.
Oh, there's more than one.
There's three
I'm
copies.
sorry. Okay. Right. I get it. Figured that. Okay.
Well, I already signed that one. Well,
Yeah. Okay, you got more, but we'll do this later. The other, yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, I think Mark's probably here for, you're here for Nathan, right? Okay. Two secondary class. Simpsons Meadow. You bring the magic pen with you? I did. Okay.
Let's see.
So, Mark, can you tell us a little bit about what we're signing before we sign it?
Yeah.
George, or Tom's probably already heard it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one lot subdivision. It's on Binkley, I believe. Road.
Binkley Road.
Yeah, way over by Kosciuszko. The pretty standard one lot subdivision in the ag district, except for the note on the face of the plat in which the highway department did not approve a driveway permit. And so there's a note on there saying as much and some semblance of an attempt to protect the county in the event of a catastrophic situation.
So are we approving a subdivision that you can't get to?
No,
No.
no.
The highway department not approving the driveway permit did not affect the approval of the plat. It's there saying that the highway department did not say,
The
okay,
visibility wasn't quite.
yeah,
Well, that's what I figured, from the site.
yes,
The site.
To my-
distance is the
yeah.
issue.
yes.
We don't want to get ourselves into a
Yeah.
problem there.
Was this unanimous for the
How do they
plan
get resolved?
commission?
Well, there's thousands of them in the county. The county's not liable.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Do you remember, was that unanimous? vote?
Yes.
Okay.
And we need a motion. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna call for a motion on Simpson's rental.
I'd make a motion that we approve the one lot subdivision for Simpson's Meadow.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Another plat for your review.
Okay.
For Plat Site on Howard Avenue on Round Lake. South side.
Okay.
This one went through a couple iterations with a preliminary plat, some tile drains running through there. There's an existing concrete block house. And any future work, virtually any future work would need to get consent for permanent structure, the drainage board, and there is a potential wetland area in the southeast portion of the plat that would require further investigation in the event that somebody would want to build something down there.
It was it's two different meetings and they changed it after the first meeting and to prove. It got approved with the drainage board and Brandon for the second time and I'll move we approve that.
Motion to approve Papa's Italian Ice.
Yeah, that'd be the one.
I'll second.
Have a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. That it?
I'm sorry, Nathan had instructed me to bring up appointments.
Okay. Back off here, Jim. I have a question, guys. Well, it's from Nathan to the county commissioners. Are we to appoint and or reappoint the people on this list for Columbia City and Cherubusco as well? Are those like commissioner appointments?
I never did. I didn't think they were, but
I'm pretty sure the one in Cherubusco we appointed.
Well, what Nathan is giving us, it said these are the commissioner appointed citizen member positions that expire. Each member is willing to be reappointed.
Unless otherwise noted, and John Johnson has noted that he does not want to be reappointed.
that's correct.
So then it looks like for reappointments, we would have a Doug Wright for the Whitley County Plan Commission, John Kissinger for the Columbia City Plan Commission, and Paula Grockock for the Cherubusco Plan Commission. Are you both in agreement?
I don't think we do anything with Columbia City and Cherubusco though, do we? We don't make appointments to that.
I kind of thought we did, but
Oh.
certainly it could be tabled. Do you know the answer, Mark?
I do not, I could go ask them.
Okay. So I would then, if so desired, entertain a motion to table it till the next meeting and till we get clear guidance from.
I move we table these appointments till the next meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion second to table the appointments on Nathan's letter to the commissioner dated November the 9th, 2020. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Nathan did say, yes, they are within 2 mile jurisdiction, so yes, you do appoint them.
We do appoint
Yeah.
both of those.
Yes, he said as long, yes, because they're within
Oh.
2 miles.
And it does say that, 2 mile jurisdiction. So who wants to untable?
I move we untable my motion.
I'll amend my motion also.
Okay, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Now, I would look for a motion to approve Doug Wright, John Kissinger, and Paula Grockock.
I'd make a motion that we approve Doug Wright for the Whitley County Plan Commission, John Kissinger for Columbia City Plan Commission, 2 mile jurisdiction, and Paula Grockock for the Cherubusco Plan Commission, 2 mile jurisdiction.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Thank you. Now, also on that day, Nathan sent the commissioners a letter stating that since Mr. John Johnson did not wish to be reappointed to the Plan Commission, we need to appoint a new member to the Plan Commission. What's your thoughts, gentlemen?
A lot of good applicants.
Oh, we were blessed. We were blessed with good applicants. I would make just a slight notation that there is some partiality.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd make a motion that we approve Mike Bemis from Corn Creek Township and making people aware that he is one of my neighbors and he has expressed interest in being a member of the Plan Commission.
We have a motion to approve Mike Bateman, 1781 East Sugar Road, Thorn Creek Township.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. The next item on your agenda, you're probably looking at, says Whitley County Broadband Assessment Results. That will not happen today. If you're interested in that program, Pyramid will be at our first December meeting to discuss that. The next item on the agenda is DBLY Group LLC, fees assessment agreement. Is anybody in on that one?
I've reviewed it already, and assuming that you guys are comfortable with it, it's appropriate at this point. We haven't changed it initially. It was not written really for what it is we were doing, so I went back to them and said, hey, let's not make this a general contract. Let's say what it is we're doing, and they redrafted it and got back to us, and that's what you have. There's two separate, there's an exhibit A as well as the actual contract. And I have copies of those that are printed off.
Oh, I have a copy here. Unfortunately, it's just something's not ringing a bell with me.
Mr. Chairman, that DBLY is the consultant that Preferred IT is using to work with us on the Sheriff's Department to change over the servers. And it's so important to make sure everything is done right and that everything works properly beforehand, that they felt comfortable that if they had somebody come in and verify what they're looking at. Yeah.
Thank you, Lon. I just was.
We need to approve that agreement.
Sorry, I was, yes, we do.
Yeah, I remember now.
Trying to put it together right now.
And it's a not to exceed $4,800.
Right, right. Mhm. Okay, so
And also, Commissioner will be, or the chairman will be the one to sign for that.
I'm sorry, was that a motion then?
I'll make a motion. We approve.
Motion to approve the technology consulting and service agreement with DBLY and to have the chairman sign.
Second.
I have a second, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. I want to ask Jennifer to come up and review with us the choices and changes contract.
Yes, thank you.
That'll be fun.
Wow,
Thank you.
thank you.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
We've been in discussion for some time about expanding our employee assistance program and just to give employees more options for counseling services. So I've been in communication with Choices and Changes about offering counseling through them as well. So this will not be a replacement to what we already have with Bowen Center. It will just be an expansion so that employees have options there.
Now they have a choice.
Exactly.
I like that. I like it.
Mhm.
Yeah, is this, our commissioners eligible for this another month or two, this COVID business, and we may need some counseling.
Or commissioners in 45 days, you know, something like that. Matt, I'm sorry, did you have reviewed it?
I have, yeah, and it's pretty much the same.
What's your flavor, gentlemen?
Make a motion that we approve the choices and changes contract as presented
Like a one signature group.
with the chair to be able to sign for the commissioners.
And I'll second that, but Nikki, you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I mean, there are three parts to it that we'll talk about.
Come up here a little closer. With your muffler on, old people have trouble.
Yeah, so I mean, I was just gonna kind of point out some of the things that we are hoping to offer to the county, and Chrissy can talk a little bit about it too. The main thing that we're asking to contract, which is similar to what you have in place with Bone Center already, would be that EAP counseling coverage. Ours would be set up a little bit different in that we would use your already existing insurance policy that your employees already can access. This would just help them meet that deductible or any co-insurance that they have. And so I guess that's the difference between us and what Bowen can offer is that we're going to still use that insurance company primarily. So if there are no expenses, if the employee has already met their deductible and the insurance is going to cover it, it doesn't cost the county anything in addition to that. And so we would just submit any out-of-pocket costs on top of that to you. And then also, just, we know, I know because I worked for the county for a long time, like you're dealing with the public and you're dealing in some high crisis situations a lot of the time. And a lot of the county employees, whether it's in this building or the county sheriff's department or other places, we know that stress level is high. So we wanted to put just some options in there for just ongoing training for departments on dealing with the public, managing stress in general. We know that could be a real need for different departments, for probably all the departments. And Jennifer and I have talked about all the different things that we could offer if departments were interested in doing that. So that's not something you're necessarily agreeing to right now, but we wanted to put it in there and let you guys know that it's a possibility that we offer. And then in addition to that, Christy and I have both been in contact with Carly LaRue, and we've been talking about crisis management in the community, but for the county in particular, when there is a crisis, we are prepared to respond. Christy's been through crisis training to prepare for community-wide emergency management situations, and we've been fortunate to be able to respond a couple of times to help in community situations, but we know from that training that there needs to be something in place and an agreement ahead of time so that it's an automatic response when those things happen. And so that's something we've kind of outlined in here as well. And we would love to continue to grow and develop with the county because we know how important that is. If we can respond immediately, that it can lessen the impact long-term to the community.
Well, the only thing I have to say, there's probably more need than most of us know about. It's just getting the need to you kind of people. And that's the issue of you being aware of the need and how to respond.
And we know that if we make it as easy and as simple as possible, and if we come to you, which we're willing to do in a response, we will come immediately and we will come on site. And when it's not offered as, hey, this is something you should do if you feel like people don't take advantage of that if it's just offered. But if this is something we are providing and this is something we are, and I hate to use the word mandatory, but if this is just something that is provided, we know that the response is a lot greater and can have a bigger impact.
Back to, we've been in the community since 2010 and have really started as one therapist and have grown. We use a model of working with children. It is really why we've grown so much. And so while a lot of the county employees may not initially think that they need some help with their anxiety or depression, we have a really good reputation for working with children. But the model that we use really involves the whole family. And so we do see a lot of adults getting into counseling that wouldn't have chosen that. You know, they didn't call asking for counseling, but as we work with their family, they recognize that they would like that support. And so we know that for your employees to know that there's a place for their children if there are difficult things they're going through, it could be really supportive for them and ultimately for the employees.
I apologize, but is there a motion on the floor?
Yes, there is.
And a second,
Yes.
so this was discussion.
Mhm.
Okay. I'll call the question in. All in favor of signing this services agreement, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a special one or should I sign anyone?
You don't see who she give the pamphlets to for us.
That's okay. Your family,
She knows the need.
Gentlemen, if you'll bear with me a minute, this is not on the agenda, but I want to bring it forth to the group. As you may recall, we had engineering resources do a transition plan, ADA transition plan, which was an absolute must. We had to have one because at any time NDOT can come back if we didn't have one, they can come back and not give us any money, and we can't afford that. So we got the transition plan done. The areas of concern, now, you know, when you think of county, you think of county, but in this case, you've got to think of the unincorporated areas of the county. So there were 3 places that required work. Donatello Village, Belsagna, and Lincoln Point. And ERI went out and they took care of everything for us and came back and gave us the answer. The answer is there's work to be done. It's probably, for all the projects, it's probably going to be $2.5 million. At that time, I think we said, oh, yeah. And there is no particular push to do the project, and we certainly don't have to do $2.5 million project. We had that in mind, and I think we were comfortable with that. Then in the meantime, and I don't know, George, you got the paper, you probably, you got notified that it could be an 80-20 match within DOT.
Right.
Okay, so last week, Bill Etzler with ERI, myself, Lori Shipman, who does our grant stuff, and Brandon all met. Lori was by telephone. Bill gave us a proposal to help do the paperwork for the NDOT grant. I'm trying to think of my proper words here. It's not coming to me. But to make it a federal aid project. So Bill's company is willing to help. Now here's the thing that I was concerned about, and that is we can't have something that's going to occupy all of Brandon's time. Brandon already does 2 jobs. we really can't expect them to do much more. Both Bill and Lori assured me that we would bother Brandon the least amount of time possible. Right now, as far as what we're talking about is sending in an application. We don't know that we're going to get the money. The money is not going to be, the announcement's not going to be made till February or March. So we don't know when or if we're even going to get covered. We're simply talking about sending in an application. And I believe Bill did say that it would require about 4 hours of Brandon's time to help with the application. So so what I have here is a proposal from ERI to help with the Whitley County ADA transition plan improvements. I guess that's my spiel. If we don't go this way, and I don't honestly, 45 days, I'm out of here. I got no say. But if we don't go this way, certainly small projects are going to have to be done. Now this, I should also say, this is a 80-20 program. We got to come up with 20%, which is roughly 5 million. And it doesn't, did I say that right? No, 500,000. Ooh, I knew when I said that, that don't sound right. The $2.5 million project, we got to come up with about 500,000. But we don't have to come up with it all at one time. So my recommendation, if we were to do this, is to take money annually from the on-site, off-site seated plan. So that's what I'm asking. And Bill, do you want to add anything? Brandon, do you guys want to add anything to this? Well, we explained it, okay? Okay, so that's what I'm asking, if you're interested to contract with ERI to do the application process. And that's all I'm asking right now. I can't ask any more because it's not going to get awarded till.
Does Matt look this over? Matt, look this over.
I have not.
Can you
Yeah.
read?
Pardon me?
Can you read?
No, I said, has Matt,
Oh, I thought you said.
not me.
I don't have my hearing aids in, I'm sorry. Yeah, let's let Matt work with that for a little bit. We'll kind of get some other stuff done here. We've got claims. I went through the claims. I found some claims that I was dubious of, some meals, and I couldn't quite figure out why these meals. So I learned that the new confinement officers are sent to what's called jailer's school. I think it should be called confinement officer school, but whatever. And they had to do it virtually. So these folks did not have to leave town. They were right here. They did it virtually, and then they were fed as they would be if they'd gone to school. So with that, I have no problems with the claims. I did take a motion to do both payroll and then accounts payable claims.
I'd make a motion that we approve the payroll claims as presented and also the accounts payable claims as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the payroll claims, the accounts payable claims, and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Also same sign. That one's next. Claim forms. Okay, well, duly noted that
I have to sign them at the
we
next.
approved and we will sign the next time.
Sorry about that.
Okay, then we'll move to minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes?
I move we approve them as written.
Second?
Okay, we have a second. discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. These, by the way, are for November the 2nd meeting. We got something different.
Yeah, that's just, I actually have extra copies, so I figured I would keep it, in case you can't have to write your name or something.
Okay, good. Okay, cool. Cool. We spent a good portion of the morning, obviously discussing the COVID situation and the county's role. And we met with Scott. And just to show you how fast things go, after we were done just trying to decide what we were going to do, we were notified that Whitley County will be moving to red on Wednesday. So I just opened a whole new can of worms. So Scott, why don't you tell us what you think our plans should be then?
Well, I sent everybody a copy of the email. I'm going to put a copy on the desk here.
Oh, sorry, I haven't had a chance.
There's the copy, there should be a colored copy. I'm going to put together a plan for employees and government buildings. I know that Jennifer and Cammie have reviewed it. They thought it looked okay. It's up to you guys. Basically, we talked about starting with employees wearing face masks or face coverings in all places except their individual workstations.
Right.
So at their desk, they don't have to, but interacting with public or outside their desk areas, they need to. Also outside if they can't socially distance. So we'll get any group of employees outside doing work together, we would need to mask if they can't be away from each other.
The CDC or the state sort of made that clear too, in that a gathering of 25 inside or outside.
Doesn't matter.
Like it made no difference. So, yeah.
And as you look through the document, you've seen highlighted on any kind of link. Since this will be sent an email portion to everybody, they'll be able to just click on the link and they can get additional information anywhere on here that they might require. So that we're just not telling them here, they can look for themselves, find additional things for themselves on here. We put it in the department head's responsibility, make sure that they're communicating with their employees. Said they hear that they need to be open to before and after hour phone calls, emails, texts from their employees. So in case there's any department heads that don't have given their employees those numbers, they need to do so. So if an employee feels sick or they have a child that's been sick, they can contact their department head after hours, let them know.
Sure.
That way the department head can make a necessary changes if he needs to for that department.
Right. If I can interject, when this whole thing came down, we made a decision at that time to kind of leave things to department heads. And they did an unbelievably wonderful job of they bought into this thing right from the get-go and each had their own, which I appreciate. So go ahead, Scott.
And we've then also added the note, if they need additional, if they need if they want to use a thermometer for their employees, if they need mask sanitizer, PPE, to contact Amy Biggs or myself about getting a hold of those things. We went in to talk about symptoms and positives and close contacts. So anybody with symptoms of COVID, and I put a link there in case they want to know what those symptoms are, will need to isolate for 14 days. As the department heads, they can return to work, but the doctor's note says that this is not COVID-19. The doctor does not have to say what it is. They just have to indicate it's not COVID-19. And that note should then go to the department head and HR. If an employee has been tested positive, they're out 10 days from when symptoms begin. If they're close contact, they're out 14 days from the last day of exposure. Then it's the department head's choice if they feel like that person needs to come back earlier. According to CDC guidance, they need to wait at least 5 days from exposure. And then with a negative test, they can return. That is the guidance given to non-medical businesses and government entities under CDC's rules.
So kind of we're going by this.
Yes, correct.
Right?
Right.
Okay, this is documents called Coronavirus Disease 2019, COVID-19, when the quarantine.
Right. It's different for medical staff, different for businesses and government, and it's different for schools. We also talked about building restrictions on here, and you can feel free to add or correct any of this. If we are red, as noted by the webpage, that means that government buildings will be locked, possibly restricted to one entrance only if not prohibited by law to do that. And then being marked for that. Any other color code will be open to public, but again, masked and socially distanced. And we can change those as we go along, depending on the severity in our area. It all depends on what we want to do. But for now, that would be the guidance. I couldn't change a lot of that because the governor still has a directive for masks, even if you're blue or yellow.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. Commissioners work with the maintenance department to provide disinfectant, as we did before, to all offices. And each office will be responsible to disinfect their commonly used hard surfaces at least twice a day. Any issues with payroll, FMLA, absences, et cetera, HR, and that we reserve the right to change this document anytime. If you approve anything similar to this, then we can post it on a website under HR. Everybody will get a copy of that through their email.
So we'd like to get a press release out as well. Because if guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think our plan of this building, locking the Van Buren Street door, essentially going back to what we did for a long time. You have to come in the north door. However, you have to have an appointment to get in.
Building will be locked at all times.
The door will be locked. There'll be phone numbers there. You call the department you want. Someone will come down and get you and take you up. Obviously, you're going to have to be masked throughout the whole building.
And then we may want to remind employees who don't work in this building but visit the building often that their badges may not work, so they need to make sure they get a hold of Jennifer in maintenance about that.
Good idea. Yeah. And then when you're in your own workspace, you do not need a mask.
Correct.
But the minute you go into a common area, you need a mask on. I don't think this can be considered our workspace. For us, it's over there.
Correct.
So this is a common area. That's why I asked people that we gave the certificate to leave, because we were 25. 25 would be the most we could have in the room. Maybe not today.
Not officially, but the numbers are there. So
yeah,
that's just Wednesday's the day they turned the switch.
Yeah.
But we're really red right now. So
okay, yeah. So
any changes to the document, and I can give this to Amy. She'll do a press release, and I can give Jennifer on distribution.
guys, have you seen it? Sorry, oh, is this not good? May I have 2 minutes?
No, sure. Otherwise, I've been involved, been in conversations with all the schools. They're planning severe restrictions on extracurricular activities. I know that Columbia City is only not going to have any spectators at all while they're red, just games only. They're going to allow still some after-school gatherings, but less than 25 individuals. And of course, they're really good at keeping masks on, things like that. I've talked to several churches. Some churches are not going to have in-service. Some of them will, but restricting much of their connections there. As per the governor's directive, businesses and restaurants can still be completely open as long as they can separate their table spacing and chair spacing. The governor did go as far as saying that all businesses and entities need to have a COVID plan for employees, that every employee has to have a copy of that, and it has to be publicly posted. They've also gone on to say they've given a 4-step process for enforcement of businesses not wearing masks or enforcing mask wearing while people are coming into their establishment. 1 is a verbal warning. 2 is an order to wear masks and follow the governor's order. 3 is an order to close. And if we do that, we have to provide a copy to the district attorney the prosecuting attorney and the Secretary of State. So hopefully we'll not have to get to those.
I hope we don't ever get that.
I've already sent a letter today regarding one business in town, so.
All right, so the document, that's a great document, I think. So
Looks good to me.
do we want to approve it?
I'd make a motion, we approve the document that Scott has provided us regarding our policy for the Whitley County employees.
Yeah, second.
Second, okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Good job.
I will put this on your letterhead to commissioners, and I'll get with Jennifer about getting those things posted, distributed, and get with Amy about doing a press release.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No. Thanks for all you've done.
Sure.
I guess tomorrow night we'll have a sewer district meeting, probably, okay, officially have that meeting, but potentially after that, we may have to.
Right, since it's not really official till Wednesday, we will have to let the public know that any other future meeting, and we may have to start webcasting those as well.
What's that? So that we end up having to do that.
Sure, as far as webcasting?
Yeah.
I mean, we just gotta figure out how to do these things. When we do that, I'll need to be trained. I know Nathan does it real well. Other guys, Trevor knows, so.
Sounds like you get to start on part of the sewer meeting. At least we're on track.
Thanks for having me.
No, we'll figure it out. We've got it all.
Nathan's been.
Matt. That thing Matt was reading, what we gotta do about?
Yeah, I did look through this. It seems fine to me, because there's no legal issues at all.
If he agrees, I move we
I
approve
will-
it.
I think it better publicly, the state prices here.
So do not exceed 45.
Correct. They do not exceed $4,500.
Yeah. I move we approve it.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Yeah, I'm gonna need a motion to allow the chairman to sign.
So move.
I'll amend to let the chairman. This is my second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed. Thanks for looking at that, Matt. We all know that Hessler's kind of a shifty guy anyway. Thank you, Mel. We'll have it for you. We'll get, well, you may even copy it. Okay. Man, do you have anything else? Daniel? Oh, yeah.
There's some highway permits.
Right away. Okay. Thank you. We all got one. All right, I'll start out with mine. Oh, you got one. Okay. Is this one or multiple, Brandon? Just one. Okay. Okay, first one I've got here will take place on East Park 30 Drive. The work specifically is 4474 East Park 30 Drive. Approximately 700 feet of UG duct placement by directional bore,
That's underground.
4-inch bore, 700 feet. Brandon has signed it.
Move we approve it.
Second.
And you got a motion second, all in favor, raise your right hand, all for the same time.
This is 4474 East Park 30 Drive.
I think
I think we got this all the same one.
But I don't have both places to sign, so.
You sign
I
it?
signed it already.
Same thing, 3 copies. Go ahead, Tom.
Mhm. East Lakewood Drive. Underground duct placement by directional bore. Same person as last time. BSM groups. Move we approve it.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Yeah, those are. All right, so the next one we have is a private person wants to it's a situation where a citizen wants to provide water to their a pole barn or building across the street. So they'll be laying in a water line. Now, when that's the case, then Brandon, you may have to help me here. I know we've got the liability release form.
Is that 465 Morris Road,
Yes.
what I've been through, and the liability release, I'm told was recorded already.
Okay. Oh, you're right, it's been signed. I'm sorry, so,
That was my bad on communication.
no, that's okay, we don't do anything with it. Okay, thank you. That was easy, wasn't it?
Nathan's asked me about where to bring running increase. Still working, okay.
Yeah, we were trying to date. I like pictures as much as the next guy. Yeah, still. Yeah. Number 3. Did you have anything else for us? George?
No, nothing at this time.
Tom? I think I've been through everything I wanted to do. Anybody from the public wish to speak? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank